Hello, welcome to the Inner Goddess Interviews. I'm Lynn Thurman, I'm the author of the Inner Goddess Revolution and creator of the Inner Goddess Circle. And today I am chatting with Amethyst Mahoney, who is a spiritual badass. Welcome, thank you for spending some time with me today, Amethyst.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
I'm good. I'm recovering from the move. So I've got about 60 boxes outside my door that are begging for my attention.
So thank you so much then for taking the time today to chat. And we're going to talk about Facebook and Facebook groups. Come on, share your secrets here because you're rocking your community, your group. How do you do it?
It's so interesting because, a few years ago I was meeting with my friend Lauren and she was like, you are a networker, a group creator. You're supposed to be, helping people develop their business relationships. And I was like, I suck at all of that. Because you get on something like social media, any social media site, and it's so hard. And you get into these groups and there's something off about most of them. So you go into a group, you think it's going to be great, and it's either all spam and ads, and people just trying to sell you their stuff, or it's just really weird and people trying to give away free readings, or they'll say they're running a business and yet they want to give you everything for free and you shouldn't make money. So it's like these weird extremes that are going on. And so part of the reason that Spiritual Badass came about is, I was like, there's these extreme sides of everything. And I was raised fundamentalist Christian, and it was very controlling, very extreme, very, you should go out and convert everybody and they have to believe like us. And then I went completely opposite to like the pagan communities where it was like, oh, it's light and love and blah, the really airy fairy side of things. And I just realized, when we do things like that, we're on the other side of the same exact teachings. And it was really interesting. If you haven't heard, there's a guy who came out with some videos earlier this year called Ultra Spiritual, How to Be Ultra Spiritual. Google that. Oh my God, you will laugh. Can I cuss? Well, obviously,
yes, you can.
Badass. So you will laugh your ass off because it is the most hilarious thing. So I started trying to find a way to bring in people who were tired of both extremes. And so that's how the Spiritual Badass community came to be, because I just saw there really wasn't anyone bridging that gap between extreme fundamentalism of whatever religion it happened to be and extreme New Ageism or spirituality. I mean, there really is. And you would go into, you can go into these Wiccan communities, especially I did a lot of Wicca classes and tried that out for a while. And it was like, we're the only true, Wiccan teachers. And I come from a long line from Aleister Crowley and Golden Dot, and I was just like, what are you doing? This is insane. This is just like the Southern Baptist Church I was raised in. So it kind of like, I freaked out for a couple of years. And so eventually I found this kind of middle ground where, you can take the best out of both. You can take the best out of religious teachings. You can take the best out of pagan and spiritual and New Age teachings. And when you meld them together, you get Spiritual Badass. So I tried a whole bunch of different ways to do my group. I tried my own membership site. I tried, different Facebook groups. I was running business trainings and everything because a lot of us are entrepreneurs. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, at least you're doing tarot readings or Reiki healings or something on the side, even if it's more of a hobby. But those people, we all get together because, even if it's not like, oh, I'm a business owner, I'm going to make, millions of dollars at this. You at least want to figure out how to do it without, getting shut down or doing something illegal. All right. So we all come together and we talk about the business side of things, but we talk about mostly the spiritual side of things too. And I tried in my different business teachings, I tried in the past 2 or 3 years about 47 different Facebook communities.
47.
And they're all, some of them are still floating around out there. Every once in a while I'll get a notice like, someone asked to join, you know, your video blog group. And I'm like, oh, that was like a year and a half ago. Is that still up? Whoops. So I've been trying to track them down and shut them down, but there's, you know.
So if anyone knows of any floating Amethyst groups out there, contact her because she needs to locate them.
Yes, I can't find them. That's the funny thing about the internet is once you put something out there, it's out there. And I had put a book out a couple years ago, just, you know, a little guide that was like a few dollars. And every once in a while I'll get a sell from it. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's still floating around. Okay.
So I was going to say that's really interesting because if you're an entrepreneur, there's some kind of pressure that people or you put on yourself that you have to get it right straight away, that there's certain ways to do things. And then you're just saying, you know, you've created 47 groups. So there is an element of trial and error and not to be afraid of experimenting.
Right. And now I'm trying to teach people how to do the groups a little better at the beginning so that you don't have to, you know, have 47 groups out there. Because it really is. And now people come into my community and they're like, oh my God, this is the best place I've ever seen in my life. I'm never leaving this group. This is all I'm going to do on Facebook. Because so many people are just doing things that aren't working out there. So I do have a free guide on that. I don't know if you'll have the link up, but it's at amethystmahoney.com/Facebook-guide. And it's 15 steps to create your fun and profitable Facebook group. Secretly, I call it how to create your group that doesn't suck. And and what we really talk about is, you know, there's so many things about when you're putting yourself out there, even if you're just starting a group for fun, like being visible. Just that in the first place is, you know, how can I put this online, especially if, you know, you have a family of muggles? How am I going to keep them out of my group and keep them out of my woo business and, you know, still be able to go home for Thanksgiving, you know, if I have to do that kind of thing. So there's a lot of different things, and a lot of them are in that 15 Steps book that you can actually set it up in a way that is going to keep those people out of your business and actually help you create a real community. And the whole purpose of having a group is to create a community around what you believe in. And so when people are doing this, they kind of think, well, it's my business. I have to go create this group, and I have to, you know, get a bunch of clients so I can sell stuff to them. And what you really want to start looking at is what are the things that you believe in, and who are the people who already believe in that? Like, where is there a need for that? And that's one of the reasons my group is so popular, because like I said, there's all these groups out there that are very fundamentalist, very hardcore, very specific religions. And there's these other groups that are just light and fluffy and, you know, fluffy bunny, right? And so our mascot is actually, we call it the badass fluffy bunny. And it was just like, oh my God, nobody's ever come up with this. Are you kidding me? And so when people see that and they see that we're about, you know, bridging that gap, they're just like, oh, yay, I'm home, you know? Yeah,
it's a refreshing change, isn't it?
Because it's amazing.
Nobody wants to be in the either extremes. Well, I suppose some people do, but I don't. In the middle's the best ground.
Yeah. Well, and I do have, I just had a hater in another community I'm in the other day. She was going off about, you know, she asked a question in this group that I'm in, and I replied, and she wrote, she's like, that's why I left Spiritual Badass, because you're just a bunch of meanies. I was like, and you can tell she's one of those extreme light worker people who refuse, they just won't say that anything is wrong with the world at all. You should never, you know, you get a law of attraction people to do the same thing. If I ever think anything bad, I'm going to attract all bad to me, and I have to be like super positive all the time. And it becomes this like competition with yourself on how happy you can be. It's silly.
It's funny you mention that. I was just writing about that this afternoon, about like happy, clappy, fluffy people and how they become plastic after a while. And you're like, oh no, just go away. You're too much.
The funny thing is some of the most spiritual people I've met in like metaphysical fairs and stuff who are always about, you know, you can only focus on love. There's only love, you know, that kind of thing. Obviously, that's not something I believe in my community. But some of those people are the most angry freaking people I've ever seen in my life, because they're repressing any emotion that they think is negative. And the more you repress that, the more my husband and I have a joke. We're like, take all your guilt and fear and unhappiness and all those bad emotions and just hide them down in a deep, deep, dark well. It'll be okay. There's only so much room in that. And so one of these days it's going to explode and you're going to flip out. And that's not spiritual. Denial is not spirituality. If you get nothing else out of this interview, even if you think I'm a crazy, horrible person, I'm just going to plant this little seed in the back of your mind. Denial is not spirituality. It's acceptance, and it's actually starting to look at everything in your life and be like, oh, okay, and just be okay with that. Like if you're angry, then you're angry. There's no reason to be like, oh, I have to deny my anger, you know, I'm a horrible person for being angry. Well, great, now you've piled guilt on top of your anger. Good job.
Yeah, I'm going to stand back when that one explodes.
Right. We even have a day in the community. We have themes every single day in the Spiritual Badass community. It's on Facebook. So if you look for it on Facebook, you'll find us. But it's called Snarky Saturday. And some days I don't want to welcome people into the group on Saturday because people just let everything out on Snarky Saturday. So sometimes there's like, hey, I just want to have a rainbow unicorn butterfly kitty. And other times it's like, F this, F that, I hate everything today. And so it does come across sometimes it's like, you know, this person's very angry and negative, but you have to have a place to get that out. You have to be able to be like, you know, this sucks. There's something happened in my life and it sucked, or something happened and I'm angry about it. And so we have a place to share that. And you'll notice that the more that you just kind of acknowledge those things, you allow those things to kind of come up and out, and then it actually automatically raises your vibration. So that is like the shortcut to spirituality, is to actually acknowledge everything. Because your normal vibration is pretty high and pretty happy, and it's just all the gunk that we put on it that makes us all whoa.
What made you go from pages to groups?
Oh, the business pages? Yeah, I still have my business page. And I'm actually doing it's called Facebook Badass. It's a training coming up here in a couple weeks. Like how to be a badass on Facebook. But it is, you have to have 3 things on Facebook. You have to have your regular profile, and it needs to be in your own name, your own legal name. So if your name is not Amethyst, mine is legally Amethyst, so I can do that. If your name is not like, you know, Sage, Rainbow, Happy Bunny, Fluffykins, then you need to change it, because Facebook will shut you down. And they've actually been shutting down some of my friends' profiles completely, blocking them out completely until they provided documentations that was their name. One of my friends named Amethyst Wildfire, they shut her page down. She's like, no, bitches, that's my legal name. So she got back in. My friend Star, that is her legal name. So, but she was in Thailand when it happened, and it took her 3 days to get back into her account. So whatever you do, you need to have it as your legal name, because if you lose it because you put whatever, that's not going to be good. You're not going to be able to get into your group. Then if you have any kind of business, you have to have a business page. There are ways that you can get interaction and things on business pages, and there's actually a lot of good things that you can do with a business page. The problem is that the majority of business people put like 80% of their time and effort into a business page, whereas I put about 15% maybe of the time that I spend on Facebook. Because Facebook has come out and said that, we want business pages to get 0% organic reach because we want you to pay for everything. They've just flat out said it. And there's ways around that, and that is your group. Because the thing about your group is that when you train people to come into your group a couple times a week, they're going to see everything that you've posted. They're going to see that you have a new class coming out. They're going to see that you have a new challenge. They're going to see everything. And unlike when you post it on your business page, 6 people out of 16,000 might see it, depending on, there's different things you can do to boost it without paying, and to, have little groups of people who share each other's business page material, and that actually extends your reach. But if you just have people come into your community, you get way more interaction. And even before Facebook made business pages suck so bad where nobody would see it, because seriously, that's like my guide is like, let's just face it, Facebook business pages suck, okay? They do. And they never, ever worked for me. I tried to use them even back when you would post something and it would show up for everybody in your feed and everybody could see it. Because people in the spiritual world, especially, they look at your business page as your business page. They don't want to post on it. They don't want to comment. They don't want to interact because they feel like, this is your space and you're the one in charge here. But if you get them into your community and you tell them this is your community too, people will start posting and they'll start sharing and they start really growing relationships. A lot of our people are meeting offline. The world out there.
Is there one?
There's like a real place.
No.
So they'll meet, they'll go have coffee, they'll go hang out. And that's kind of where we're moving into next, is we're actually forming the Spiritual Badass Club, where we secretly call it the Sparkle Society, but because we're all like, sparkles, oh my God. But it's for people to actually start meeting in real life and networking in real life, because how many times do you, like, I just moved to a new city, and I have to go to all these new networking meetings and stuff. And what happens when you're a spiritual person? You go into a networking meeting, you've got the guy who runs up at you and says, you've got to try my weight loss coffee, which you're like, thanks, you just told me I'm fat. And and then you've got the 8 people who are like, you read tarot cards, and they flip out. And sometimes you'll find 1 or 2 people. And so what we're doing is we're going to start establishing real life in-person networking places all over the world, because we're in 185 countries, where people can just go hang out. And it's not going to be like a lunch and learn or go buy lunch at a restaurant that you don't even want to spend money at, because that's stupid, right? I just don't get it. I'm like, oh, let's go network and at a lunch. So we do things like we go hang out at parks. We go for walks, dog parks, go play putt-putt with each other. Go hang out. If you like video games, go find an arcade. Go do fun things. And then from there, the relationships build. And from there, the networking naturally happens.
So who would think that spiritual business could be fun, eh?
I know, right? We make it so hard. It's like, oh my God, I have to go meet people. Ugh. Like, no. I get to go, I really want to do pajama parties. I'm checking into the liability on that. Because once you start meeting in people's homes and stuff, there's the lawyer crap. But basically, I want people to be able to go to each other's homes after you've met publicly first. Don't ever just show up at somebody's house. And it's a mostly women group anyway, so you're probably not going to get any bad things happen. But, meet them in public first. Make sure you like each other. Meet at a bookstore, whatever. And then if you want to later on, go have a pajama party, watch movies, hang out, read tarot cards, and then talk about business.
Yeah. It sounds like you've got everything under wraps, and people can download your book for free. your
Yes.
15 steps.
Yes. It's the guide, and then it has, after that, it gives you a video to show you step by step how to set up a Facebook community if you don't have one yet. So they call it Facebook groups. I call them communities because that's what we're going for. And then there's a little follow-up after that about some steps that can really help you, launch things. The Facebook Badass program that is coming up in a couple weeks, I'm not sure when this is going out, but if it hits around the right time, we're doing that as a love offering this first time. So you can get that for free too. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's the suggested price is $50 to $100. There are bonuses if you actually invest any money in it, but the base of it is free. So you can pay $50, you can pay $100, you can pay $0, But I really feel like there's so many bad groups on Facebook. There's so much spam. There's so much confusion about how to, create a business and how to build relationships. And even though we're all on the internet, business today is just the same as it was 100 years ago. It's about building those relationships. And so this whole program is to give you some steps on, how to actually do your business in a way that's going to feel good for you, how you can help more people, and how you can have a group that doesn't suck.
I know one of the things that I find very challenging, because I have a couple of groups, is coming up with material and questions, and to kick off the initial engagement. Do you give any tips on that?
Yes, there's actually one of the topics in the guide is to create your own guidelines for the group. Mm-hmm. And within those guidelines, you're going to create theme days. So every day of the week is going to have a specific theme. And I even say, come over to my group and steal my themes. I don't care. Because they're the same kind of things. Like on Mondays, people set their intention for the week. On Tuesdays, we have Tarot Tuesday. On Wednesday, it's hump day. So different people do different things. We do promotions that day. So there's one thread that you can promote on that day. The rest of the week, you don't get to promote. Thursdays is something that I don't know, my themes, they're listed on my guidelines. They're on my page. Friday's like celebrating what you did for the week. Gratitude Sunday. I mean, they're pretty basic. But the thing is, you want to have a daily theme. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to restrict my group by posting a daily theme. And I'm like, no, the daily theme is to help guide it. And then any day that you feel like inspired to post something else, you can do that on top of the daily theme. And that's how you really get community going, is because they know what to expect. And then also every once in a while you can be like, hey, look at this neat little surprise. And it's fun. So in the Badass Facebook or Facebook Badass program, the one that I said you can get for free, my bonus for that program is actually going to be a couple of different guides, themes for the week. So like, hey, if you're a health coach, these might be some topics for you. If you're a Reiki healer, maybe these are some topics for you. If you're a tarot reader, here are some topics that you might want to do. And they'll be kind of similar, but there'll be some different ideas in there for you to be able to pick and choose. And sometimes people feel like, I don't want to use your themes. But when so many people are using the kind of the same themes, it just kind of raises the energy of the collective consciousness. Like we all kind of know what to expect together. And when more and more people are focusing on a specific topic for a day, it just kind of raises the vibration of that topic overall energetically. So I think that when you're like, I can't do, Monday intentions because someone else did it, that's just silly. Like the more people, it's kind of like when you do a prayer circle, right? You try to get as many people. It's really raising that energy. Whereas if, you're like, I have to reinvent the wheel and make something different, your group's going to kind of feel disjointed from what's going on in the bigger picture.
It's really refreshing to hear that and to have someone say that, because there's also another kind of pressure to be totally unique, to be one of a kind person all the time in your business. And it's nice to think like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go and steal that theme for the day because that's okay.
Yeah, and it's like we think, well, we have to be the only person doing that, but really in business, the more people who are doing things similar to what you're doing, the more popular you're going to get too, because it's just, my husband's a security engineer, and he used to ask his boss, like, all these companies would pop up who did that same thing, and he's like, are you worried about the competition? He's like, no, because the more people who are out there talking about it, the more clients there will be, the more it raises the awareness that this is possibly a thing. I was in Omaha. I lived in Omaha for the last 2 years, and sometimes I went to this big networking meeting, and one time I just flat out said I wanted to see how it landed. I said, oh, I've been a tarot reader for 20 something years now. And they're like, what's a tarot? And I just went, wow, this is not the group for me. Right? Can
I ask you, how did you get started in your business? What's your business story behind amethystmahoney.com?
I found a deck of cards in a house I moved into when I was 12 years old. And I thought the pictures were really pretty, but because I was in such a fundamentalist household, I actually, I found out my parents were also reading my diary all the time. So my parents, don't get me started. That's like an 8-hour conversation. But so I would wrap my tarot cards and my journal up in like a plastic bag, and I would go bury them in the backyard. And
that's so sad.
So I kind of carried them with me for a few years, and this was way before the internet. Way before, there were no metaphysical stores. At that point, I lived in West Virginia. I've lived in 15 states. So at that point, I was in this tiny little town in West Virginia. And, I already knew by the time I was 12 that I was going to own my own business, but I had decided I was going to be a psychologist because I thought that's how you helped people. And so I did that for, 10 years. And then I was like, you know what? Psychology sucks. Because it's all about what's wrong with people. There are now a few psychology models coming up that are about positive psychology and stuff like that. And so those are getting really good, which is great. But basically you talk to people about what happened 40 years ago. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this. So I started bringing tarot into the work with my clients, and my boss threatened to fire me. Oh, no. And people started complaining. And so then I did a few devious things where I said, well, we're going to do like some art therapy today. And so I'd take a picture of a tarot card and blow it up like on the copy machine and wouldn't tell them that it was tarot. And we do all these exercises, and I even did a presentation for my boss, at our weekly meeting in front of all of the other people. They were like, that is great. You can do that with your clients and stuff. And then someone said it was a tarot card, and they flipped out. So I quit. I was like, if you are so dense that you can't understand that you just loved that, and then you flip out because you find out it's a tarot card, like there's something wrong with you. I am done. So then I told my husband that I was going to go read tarot cards for a living. And he was like, okay. And then I went back to school, and I got a second master's degree in science field just to make sure. And when I graduated, like $36,000 later, I took him out to dinner and said, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go read tarot. So God bless my husband. He has put up with a lot. But I started reading, and, everybody would come to me. I'd go to fairs and things, and everybody would come to me and say, I have been trying to talk to you all day. You have clients, like just a mass of clients around your table. I had like one reading today. What are you doing? And so then I started getting into the business coaching side of it, because I'm like, wow, if you're spending like $100 to go to a metaphysical fair and you're maybe making $25, that's not good. 25 is less than 100. You're losing money. So I started teaching people how to flip that so that you could you can actually start making money, and you can make a really good living doing this. I mean, some months I make $11,000 in sales.
Wow.
I had a live event where I made $22,500 in one weekend. So there's really cool ways to make a lot of money. But also I didn't want to lose sight of the fact that a lot of people are not going to invest in, $5, $10, $20,000 programs, because that's just not where people start off. And so I wanted to create my free community where you can get a lot of tips and everything, and you don't have to spend that money. You can just start learning from there. I do tell people eventually, if you really want to turn your hobby into a real business, you really do need to get a coach, and you really do need to, like I have an inner circle. It's super affordable. And it's basically you get everything you need for the whole year: support, accountability, everything. And it's a whole year-long program. And even if you don't do mine, find something like that, because you really need to be invested in your business. When we start as tarot readers and stuff, we're like, oh my God, I have to pay $20 for a website, and I have to pay, $10 for this, and $20 for business cards, and oh my God. And you're just thinking about all this money that's adding up. Coaching has got to be the number one priority, because the first time I invested in a $5,000 program, that was when everything changed for me. But I keep my programs, like my inner circle. I teach you everything I learned in that $5,000 program for $500 for the year. So yeah. So it's like when people are like, I can't afford that, I'm like, I want to scream, because I'm like, you gotta do something, So find someone that you resonate with, and really, find out what the good ways to do things are, because I will tell you, you will get into a lot of free groups like on Facebook or LinkedIn or somewhere like that. And people will give you all kinds of spiritual business advice. They'll tell you, what to charge for your readings, how to get on certain websites and sell them. They'll tell you all this stuff. Most of that advice is bad. So it is. Most of those people are broke, and you get into a group where everybody's not making a lot of money, not really where they want to be as far as their business goes, and they're all patting each other on the back and high-fiving over bad advice. It's kind of crappy. So in my group, if there's a discussion going on where it is that people are giving that same bad advice, I step in, even though you haven't paid me, because I'm just like, no, that is bad. I know it sounds like good advice, but let's talk about a real way to actually make money in your business, and then also how to get more clients so you can help more people, because that's not it.
Can people sign up for your newsletter at your website? Because I subscribe to your newsletter, and you give away a ton of stuff all of the time, and not rubbish stuff either, but good stuff you can use.
Yeah, if you sign up for that Facebook guide, you'll automatically get the newsletter, and you'll get the link to join the free community. So you can ask questions in there anytime. People will come in and they'll be like, I'm looking for, I don't know how to set up a free offer on my website. How do I do that? And there's people in there who can help you, based on what system you're using, all kinds of stuff like that. Plus, we like to have more people in there. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, you're doing all this stuff on how to do a Facebook community, but I'm afraid if I create a community and I have other people who do similar things, they're going to start answering the questions. I'm like, let other people answer the questions. That's like a day off, Like, I don't even have to do anything. They're getting the help that they need from someone else in the community. Amen. I'm good. I'll be over here sipping my green smoothie and watching Walking Dead. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So where can people find you? Because they need to find you in your group.
Yes. The main website is beaspiritualbadass.com. If you find that, you can sign up to anything on that page, and it will send you information to get into the Facebook community. It's called Spiritual Badass, but the free guide is at amethystmahoney.com. That's my name, /Facebook-guide. And if you can't find that, find me on Facebook, and I will give you the link. It's in there. It's actually on the banner. Oh, I put it on the banner the other day. It says "Welcome Home," and then it has a little picture of the 15 Steps book. And if you click on that, the link will show up for you, and then you can get it there.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time, especially as you've got all your boxes to unpack. So
I'm like, should I unpack boxes or watch more Walking Dead?
Oh, Walking Dead.
Zombies are spiritual.
They are. I love zombies. And they actually keep me awake at night. I go to bed thinking, how am I going to survive the zombie apocalypse? And so far, I haven't got a good plan.
Oh, no.
Oh, we'll have to chat again about zombie strategies next time.
I know, right? We'll come back for that.
Yeah.
I was in the army. I can show you a few things.
Yeah, well, we're kind of screwed over here in the UK because we can't have guns. So what are we going to do?
Oh, no. You're just going to have to swim across the ocean.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Amethyst. And thank you, everyone else, for stopping by and watching or listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.